Hello. Okay, so here's another episode of the crowdfunding chat on YouTube here. So today is Monday. It's starting to get real cold here in Seattle where I'm at. And today, woke up super excited. It's a Monday. Hope everyone else is excited too that it's a Monday. And today, what I wanted to talk about is all those different pages that you need before you actually launch your crowdfunding campaign, right? Everything that you need before you have to build before you actually launch your crowdfunding campaign. We've talked about landing page. You've probably heard about landing pages a lot already. Landing pages that you build where it's kind of your digital storefront for your own particular campaign, for your own product. But there's also other pages that you can do it. You can have before you actually launch. And okay, there's quite some confusion about the different pages for crowdfunding in the pre-launch stage. At least there's a lot of confusion because there's different, there's various things that you can put up. So let's kind of go through the different types of things and kind of talk through the definitions and kind of what you have to have for each one. So the first thing, let's talk about the landing page, right? You definitely have to have a landing page before you launch. You have to have a landing page because it's kind of like your digital storefront. It's the page where everyone goes to learn about your product, to learn about whatever you're launching, to learn about that thing that you want to crowdfund for. And if they're interested, they leave their email so that you can get in touch with them later. You can get in touch with them when you launch. You can get in touch with them if you need to remind them to back your project. You can get in touch with them if on the last day they haven't backed yet, and you have to be like, hey, just last chance to get this at the best discount on crowdfunding. So the landing page is really important, and you need it. You need it before you launch. You need it in the pre-launch stage. You need it so that you can build up that community for your campaign. You need it. Okay, but why do I have to talk about the landing page if everyone else talks about the landing page? And the landing page is something that I've already talked about in a different video. Like, why do I have to talk about it? Well, there's different ways that you can actually build up this landing page. And there's been a lot of questions that people have asked about it. Okay, so I wanted to talk more about kind of the different ways you can build the landing page, as well as the different other pages you need for your crowdfunding campaign too, because there's just a little bit of confusion about this. Okay, so let's talk landing pages. And so tools, the big platforms, right? The big platforms, Indiegogo and Kickstarter, they've already started building up ways to get in touch with people earlier in your own pre-launch ecosystem. They found out, these big platforms have found out that, okay, you need a crowd to launch, right? You can't just come to the platform, press the launch button, and hope for the best. It doesn't work that way. You can't get a big project to launch that way. You can't have crowds of pre-backers ready to back your campaign if you just press the launch button. So they've kind of reached out, they've kind of built tools to start helping you earlier in the pre-launch phase so that you're ready when it does come to the launch phase. Because again, if you have all this, if you do this work in the pre-launch phase, you have a crowd and you get ready to press the launch button. And then when you do press the launch button, you actually get people backing and supporting your campaign. It looks good for the actual platform itself. It looks good for Kickstarter. It looks good for Indiegogo. And the more money you raise and the more money that you make for your project and for your idea, the more money they get. And so it honestly is in their best interest to start creating tools to help you in the pre-launch phase. And that's what they've started to do, right? And so before all these tools from the platforms themselves, all these tools from Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you had to build your landing page yourself. You had to build your landing page with external, third-party, outside ecosystems. And there's different tools out there to actually build the landing page. There's tools like ClickFunnels, which I personally use. There's tools like Squarespace. There's tools like Wix. There's tools like Lead Pages. There's Kickoff Labs. There's so many other things, like those are just the top 5 that come off, that right off the top of my head. But there's a lot of software out there that helps you build tools. There's WordPress too, help you build these landing pages. And to be honest, a lot of people ask me, like, what's the best tool to use to build a landing page, right? And I'm like, well, it depends on what you want to do, because all these tools can get you to that end goal of having a landing page. All of these tools can get you to have an actual landing page that talks about your product and is mobile optimized and captures an email, but it just depends on what you're most comfortable with. And all these different tools come at different price points. They come at different user kind of friendliness. They come at different with different integrations, with different like email platforms. So it really just depends on what you like. I personally would recommend the use of a platform like ClickFunnels, just because it is super easy to work with and it's super drag and drop. I don't have to have a developer for my own sites anymore, just because I'm using this and I'm actually building out exactly what's in my head, in my vision, by myself, using these drag and drop ecosystems. So it really depends on you, but that's what I use, because, and I know that I'm paying a little higher for that service. ClickFunnels is one of the higher price landing page softwares and like product page softwares, but I'm paying for that ease of use, and I'm paying for not hiring a software developer, because I don't need to hire a software developer. So that's just kind of one thing to kind of keep in mind when you're moving forward and you're building out these landing pages. If it's Squarespace, if it's like Wix, you might have to hire someone in the long run, because it's not as easy to manipulate and maneuver. But anyways, so you can build this off of off of Indiegogo and Kickstarter, right? There's a lot of tools out there that you could use to build these landing pages. But one thing that's come up pretty recently is that Indiegogo has realized that, okay, we got to help people in this pre-launch phase. We got to help people build up their pre-launch page, because if we do help them build up the pre-launch page, and if it's effective, if their pre-launch page is effective, then more people will put their email and leave their email. All our clients, all our entrepreneurs, all the people who want to launch on our platform are going to have a bigger email list. And all these people are going to be way more successful when it does come to the actual launch phase. And it's going to be a win-win-win-win-win. It's going to be win everywhere, right? So what they've started doing is that, one, they're starting to collect people in their own ecosystem, right? Where people check out through Indiegogo, you can or sign up on Indiegogo, you can sign up to have an account on Indiegogo. And what they're starting to do is they're starting to kind of break down these people of who wants to learn about what types of products. And if you have a landing page on Indiegogo, if you want to launch on Indiegogo, what they do is they start sending emails to people on their own list that they've kind of pre-segmented out, that are like, okay, I'm kind of interested in tech. And so they're sending out these landing pages in the pre-launch phase of campaigns that are on Indiegogo. And people are like, oh, this sounds like an interesting topic and an interesting product. Let me sign up for that and wait until it launches on Indiegogo. And so everything is more tied to the Indiegogo ecosystem now, right? So they start building out this email list of people interested in future products, and they're sending out potential future products that are coming to that list. And so from your end, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, if you start building out a landing page, if you want to launch on Indiegogo, like you watched my other stuff, you've listened to my other stuff, and you know that you want to launch on Indiegogo, I would say just start building out your landing page on Indiegogo. Start building it out there, so that they're going to provide some sort of support. So you'll know that they'll provide some sort of support for you in that pre-launch phase, and they can start helping you build out your audience. That's not to say that you should not build out your audience. I 100% encourage you to still build out your own audience. You can send people to that Indiegogo page, and they can use that as your main landing page so that you can start getting emails in that way too. Because it's not enough to just kind of, again, it's never enough to rely on just the platform. You have to start working on your own audience too. So even if you have a landing page on Indiegogo, you still have to start sending your own traffic. You have to start testing and checking to see if your audience is the right one that you've been thinking about, to see if these people would be interested in the product enough to crowdfund for it, to potentially prepay for it, to have it come to life, right? And so it's super easy to do. If you go to Indiegogo and you make an account, there's an option to create a campaign and create a pre-launch page and create that pre-launch landing page for your product and start collecting emails. Okay. So yeah, so again, there's ways to do this off Indiegogo, and there's also ways to do it on Indiegogo. And it's really, really just beneficial for platforms like Indiegogo to do this, just because they want to help you in that pre-launch stage so that you're more successful, so that you're not just launching to crickets. There's no win at all for them or for you or for the backers if you launch and no one backs. There's no win. Everybody loses in that scenario. And so when this happened, it was kind of like, wow, it's great. I saw this and I was like, it's great, because they're finally figuring out ways to help people help entrepreneurs up the line, right? Because at first Indiegogo was just a platform where you could launch and actually just take that checkout, right? Take that that funding money, right? And just kind of take it to your product. But now what's happening is they're just helping earlier in the system, which is great. Okay, and so why is it that I'm just talking about Indiegogo right now? Why did I not mention Kickstarter, the other big name? Well, it's a little different in Kickstarter, and that's where kind of the distinction comes in between Kickstarter and Indiegogo and kind of these landing pages. What Kickstarter offers is not exactly like a landing page. A lot of people think this is a landing page, but it's not. Kickstarter calls it a pre-launch page, but I would kind of call it a promo page rather than a pre-launch page, just because it doesn't really do kind of the same things as a landing page, and it's calling it a pre-launch page. A lot of people think that it is a landing page, so I call it the promo page. So what is the Kickstarter promo page? So similarly to Indiegogo, Kickstarter has started realizing that, hey, if we help people up the line, if we start helping entrepreneurs before they get to that launch point, it's going to be a win-win-win for everyone, because backers are going to know about this project. Entrepreneurs are going to get more people in their crowd, and when they launch, there's going to be more backers, and we're going to be able to raise more funds and potentially get more money off the top. So it's a win for them. But the difference between the promo page on Kickstarter and a landing page that you create or by yourself, or a landing page you create on Indiegogo, is that you don't get information of your potential backers when you use the Kickstarter promo page. So what this means, if you haven't tried it out yet, I recommend you go taking a look. Right? I recommend you starting that account on Kickstarter and just taking a look at going through the steps and starting and to activate that promo page. They call it the pre-launch page, but activate the promo page, or go into the explore section and start and do advanced filter for campaigns that haven't launched yet. And so you'll see what the promo pages are. You'll see that it's just a really simple page where there's like a picture of the project, a headline, a little text that describes it, and there's a button that says notify me on launch, right? Notify me on launch, NMAL, right? Whatever you want to call it, notify me on launch. And people love this page. People love this page because people think of, once you get to 10 people clicking on that notify me on launch button, Kickstarter starts showing the numbers, and people love this number, this little vanity metric, right? People start saying things like, ooh, I need to get this notify me on launch button click to 500, to 1,000, to 1,500. before I launch because it looks sexy, right? If you have a lot of followers before you launch. But okay, this is where things get a little tricky. This is where things get a little tricky because everyone loves seeing these numbers go really high on Kickstarter. But the really, really unfortunate truth is that this is not helping you at all. This is not helping you as an entrepreneur. This is not helping you as someone who's going to launch a new product. And why? Why is that? A lot of people ask me, why is this not helping me if I'm getting all these followers for my project? Well, it's not helping you because you don't have information for any of these people who are clicking this notify me on launch button at all. You don't have any of this information. All you have is that you know that someone clicked the button, period. You don't have what their name is. You don't have where they're from. You don't have their email address. You don't have any way to get in touch with them, to talk about, to talk to them, to ask them follow-up questions, to discuss your project, to discuss why they like the product, to discuss, their likelihood of actually getting the product when you go live, to discuss how important day one funding is. You have none of that at all. And throughout the campaign itself, you don't have a way to get in touch with these people. You don't have a way to email them. You don't have a way to tell them that, it's the first 24 hours and you have a special reward for people who back during that first 24 hours. You don't have a way to say, hey, there's a mid-campaign fun little scavenger hunt we're doing online. You have no way to communicate with them. And that's what people kind of don't get when it comes to this promo page. They love the vanity metrics of getting the numbers up higher and higher and higher, but they don't get that they can't connect with or talk to these people at all. And that's what the downfall is. You can't convince more people to back your project if you can't talk to them. So when this happens, right, when people click the notify me on launch button, what Kickstarter does is they send out an email directly from the Kickstarter platform. It's an automatic email to people from their own kind of internal database that, hey, it's launch, right? Product's launch. And then they send out an email towards the end, again, about, I believe it's 24 hours before the campaign ends. And then again, 8 hours before the campaign ends. And that's it. That's the communication that Kickstarter has pre-baked for you if people click this notify me on launch button. But you don't have any information to talk to people. So why am I spending so much time on this? Why is this really kind of something that irks me, I guess? Because a lot of people just focus their intentions and their efforts on getting this number up so high that they forget that their main goal for pre-launch, their main goal for getting people potentially interested in their product, in their project, in the pre-launch phase is actually to collect emails. It's not to collect notify me on launch clicks. It's to collect emails because this helps you in the long run. Right now, if you direct all your traffic to the notify me on launch button, Kickstarter has your information. Kickstarter has information on all the people interested. But if you get people to your email list and you actually collect those emails, you can email them. Firstly, you can email them and talk to them. You can email them and ask them to do things like, hey, can you go into my Facebook group? Hey, do you want to back on the first day? Hey, what do you like about this product so I can talk to more people about it? Hey, did you see that we were shouted out from this particular press media outlet that is super high up there and it'll be another form of social proof. You can't do things like download your email list and take it and use it on Facebook for lookalike advertising or custom advertising. You can't do anything like this at all if you just send people to click the notify me on launch button. And so the best thing, I love that Kickstarter is helping people in that pre-launch phase, right? I love that Kickstarter is starting to build up different tools to help creators in the pre-launch phase. Because yes, part of this follower count who click on the notify me on launch button actually convert into backers, which is great. But the part that you don't have their information at all, right? And if you don't have their emails, you don't have things like in the long run, even after the campaign phase itself, when you go to the pledge manager, you can't email these people and say, hey, I know you were interested in the project, but you missed the campaign. Do you want to get this in the pledge manager? We're still open for pre-orders in the pledge manager. And beyond the pledge manager, you can't even say, once you have your e-com store up live, you can't say things like, hey, you were interested in Kickstarter, you were interested, but you didn't back on the Kickstarter or the pledge manager. We've actually fulfilled already, and now we have a big store that's live. And some people, you might want to back a project that has actually delivered. So we've delivered, so you can actually just go buy the product now. You can't have any form of communication during, after, way after the crowdfunding campaign if you don't have their email. And that notify me on launch button doesn't give you their email. And so it irks me. It irks me that Kickstarter is doing something great for the crowdfunding community, but they're also hurting the crowdfunding community because they're getting people's efforts to just, they're turning people's focus and attention away from what truly matters, which is the email list of people, not the clicks of people on the notify me on launch button. And so it irks me. All right. So in your journey, if you are launching on Kickstarter, the promo page is a great follow-up tool, right? It's great to get all this like fun vanity metrics happening because one, you want to talk to people in multiple times and have multiple exposures and repeat exposures of your particular project for people so that they internalize what you're selling and internalize what you're going to launch, and then they actually want to get it, right? There's the rule 7s where people have to see something about 7 times before they actually will buy it, okay? And so with that said, it's great to have a pre-launch page, but that is promo page, but it shouldn't be your main goal. It should not be your main goal because you don't have people's information. And so what I recommend instead, if you're going to launch on Kickstarter, is that you should still create your own landing page, right? Create your own landing page with all these external tools, ClickFunnels, Wix, Squarespace, lead pages, whatever you want to do, Kickoff Labs, right? Create your own landing page, still drive all traffic to your landing page to collect people's information, collect people's emails, collect people who are interested in your actual product, collect their email. And then in your pre-launch process, in your long pre-launch process, whatever you're doing in the pre-launch process to kind of lead up to this launch, to build your crowd, one of the steps can be to push people to this promo page so that they click the notify me on launch button. Again, collect their email first up front so that you have that information. And then in the back end, once they're in your ecosystem already, once they have your information already, then push them to click the notify me on launch button. Because Kickstarter is great too, because they've started to build up different ways people can look at the promo page itself. People can actually go search for the promo page and look at different categories and see what things are coming up in their own category and things like that. So that's the great part. There's like a search tool and functionality where people can just go and look at things they're potentially interested in and start clicking on this notify me button. But that should be your main goal. But once you have people's email addresses and you're pushing people to click on the notify me on launch button, you can actually attract a larger group of people who just browse specifically on Kickstarter and have kind of those organic fans coming into your project even before the Kickstarter campaign launches. Because some people do use this promo page section this promo page kind of search functionality on Kickstarter to find out about new upcoming campaigns. So, okay, just to recap, pre-launch pages, stuff like collecting people's information during the pre-launch phase is very, very important because you can take that information and push people to your campaign when you launch. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you're on Indiegogo, they have a specific way to create landing pages, right? You can use that, which is great. You can just kind of filter right through into Indiegogo. They do promotions to help you kind of get more people for your pre-launch page too, but you still have to do your own work. On Kickstarter, they don't do email collection. They just do clicks. They just do like notify me on launch clicks, which is great because they have a big marketplace where people can look at campaigns that are coming through these promo pages. But the downside is you do not have any information at all for your potential backers. And that is a huge, huge downside. So if your strategy right now is to focus on the promo page on Kickstarter and you're launching on Kickstarter, don't do it. Use it as a secondary strategy, not your main strategy. Okay, so this is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments, and I'm going to be sure to come back and help you answer any questions that you have. In the meantime, if you like this, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe so that other people can find this video too. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.